Hello everyone. Happy Monday. I do apologize for being a couple minutes late. As you guys know, Monday is easily my busiest day of the week, and so there was just a lot going on today, but we made it, and I have a really important topic I want to talk about because lately, and this has probably always been true, but it's been something that I think has just been reported on more lately. We have been seeing an absolute rash of news stories about schools, and oftentimes elementary schools, secretly transitioning kids without telling their parents, and then the parents find out about it and they're like, "What the what?" And so I've been reporting on a couple of these lately. In fact, if you subscribe to my Actively Unwoke Substack, which is Carlyn, Karlyn .substack.com. Let me just put a little ticker banner in the bottom here so you guys can remember to subscribe to it. Please subscribe to it, guys. It is free to subscribe to it. So it doesn't cost you anything. You're going to get almost daily news coverage of what I think are the most important unwoke stories that you need to know about. I really try to curate all of the nonsense and the outrage and the clickbait content. We only do nuanced content on my Substack where I'm showing you receipts, I'm explaining things, I'm really breaking down the woke ideology for you. So it's a great place to start, especially if you are a little bit newer to this whole scenario. But there are a couple stories that I covered last week on the Substack that I want to bring to your attention. Number one was this one right here about a New York teacher in elementary school being sued for secretly transitioning a 10-year-old. And what I do in this article is I actually show you the lawsuit. I break down the lawsuit. So you're looking directly at what has actually been filed in court. I'm just going to turn down my volume a little because I feel like I'm a little bit loud right now. And so we talk about that. So that's pretty disturbing, right? This is a 10-year-old kid who what happened in this, to give you the too long didn't read version, is this teacher started using male pronouns and a male name to refer to a female student. And this was going on for like months. And it really confused the student to the point where the student ended up in the school psychologist office. And why there's a school psychologist in elementary school, that is a whole other problem for a whole other day. That's social emotional learning. But when the kid went to the school psychologist office, the child was talking about harming themselves, basically, because this teacher had so gotten in their heads. And the school did not report to the parents what was going on until the child was already in the school psychologist's office threatening to harm themselves because they were so confused about their gender identity as a result of this teacher calling them male name and male pronouns for months and months and months without bothering to tell the parents. So that's a story I reported on last week. Another story I reported on, and this is an ongoing series that I'm working on, is we have access to a series of webinars that were hosted by the Michigan Department of Education. No, that is not Daniel Tosh. This is a trainer hired by the Michigan Department of Education and has also been hired by several schools in Michigan. And we have access to all of the videos from last year's training series that this person put on. And this is a direct quote from one of those videos that we watched last week. This person said schools don't have a legal obligation to tell parents that a student goes by a different name and pronouns. That is the official policy of the Michigan Department of Education. It is a policy that they've cleared with the lawyers that the Michigan Department of Education has hired to inform them on what to tell teachers in schools around the state of Michigan. So that means if you have school-age kids in Michigan, this is the policy that they're going to be going by. And in fact, in the webinar that we watched last week, and you're welcome to head over to my Substack and see the videos for yourself, because I do actually break down the videos and I show you kind of like the highlight reel of what's going on in this training. And in one of those videos, they actually talk about, we've got parent-teacher conferences coming up. And if we have parent-teacher conferences, are we telling the parents the names and the pronouns that kids are going by in school? And the answer was no. The answer is you talk to the student, and the student will tell you what to tell their parents, because we have to protect the privacy rights of the students. And so you have to ask the student permission in order to tell their parents what name and pronouns they're going by in school. So that's Michigan. Now, what we're going to look at today is a story from Colorado. Another one. Colorado elementary school is exposed for secretly transitioning a student as damning leaked internal emails reveal administrator telling assistant principal to lie to parents. I did a podcast about this today. We're going to walk through the article and we're going to talk about it. And I do want to give a shout out to this person right here. She is Erin for Parents on Twitter, and she is the person that actually exposed what was going on. So shout out to Erin. Great job. We may also look at another one. Parents slam teachers who secretly allowed their daughter to transition and use the boys' restroom before she ran away into the arms of an online groomer. And this is a 14-year-old in this case. Isn't that nice? We've also got some policy documents pulled up from Colorado. This is actually the guidance for educators working with transgender students in the state of Colorado. So we're going to take a look at that. And this is out of that school district in Colorado, LGBTQIA plus terminology and definition. And I got this again from Erin for Parents on Twitter. So that's really great work. We'll take a look at that. And then if we have some time, we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive. We're going to do a schools exposed deep dive into the school district in Colorado on their diversity and equity page. And we're just going to see what comes up. We're going to see what files we can find. We're going to see what they've got hidden on there. And we're just going to take a look at it. And we're going to do that basically for the rest of the stream. We're going to go about till 6:45 tonight. And we're just going to see what we find. But guys, welcome to the stream again. If you like the work I'm doing and you want to support it, the very best way to support it right now is by becoming a paid subscriber on my Substack. So here's the deal. I want to keep all of the articles on my Substack, to include the deep dives into the Michigan Department of Education, to include talking about the Burlington, Vermont schools trainings that they're doing, to include Robin DiAngelo, to include talking about the New York teacher in elementary school getting sued. And by the way, some of these are stories you're not going to hear anywhere else because no one else is covering them. I cover a lot of unique content on my channel and in this Substack that is quite literally not covered anywhere else on the internet. I'm showing you what's really going on in schools. I'm breaking it down for you. I'm explaining it. I'm showing you where you can find this information. But the thing of it is that I'm completely funded by you. So I only get paid for the immense amount of hours that I spend doing this if you find my work valuable. Now, I have a challenge this month. I want to bring in 75 new paying subscribers to my actively Unwoke Substack. Now, if you don't want to join on my Substack, there are other ways you can support my work. You can go over to activelyunwoke.com/support, make a one-time gift. You can become a paying member of my locals community. You can become a paying member of my Patreon. But the reason that I'm focusing so much on Substack is because I want Substack to be my content base moving forward. It's an extremely robust platform. I appreciate the value that it offers me in order to be able to break down these stories and give this information to you. But I need people to step up to the plate and to fund the work I'm doing. And if I do not get 75 new paying subscribers this month on my Substack, then what is going to happen is I'm going to be putting up a paywall on my Substack to encourage people to financially support the work I'm doing. I don't want to do that. All right? I don't want to have to put up a paywall. But in order to accommodate that, I need people to step up. And I'm going to be honest. You know, I was pretty pleased that we actually started the month 10 subscribers ahead of where I needed to be. And now I don't see people stepping up. And so I'm not trying to guilt trip anyone, but I am saying that this stuff takes an incredible amount of time for me to do. When I do a breakdown like I do with Michigan, like I do with the Burlington, Vermont schools, like I did with this elementary school, like I did especially with this article exposing the groomer training in Michigan, this article took me about 10 hours to put together because of all the clips I need to edit, because of how I need to break things down and teach them. And this all takes time. And if you want this to continue and you want to continue to have access to it, then I need people to step up and become paying subscribers. Because if I don't hit the goals that I have, I'm going to have to go spend time doing other things. The only way that I really have to say, does the world value my content? Does the world value what I'm putting out there? Do people appreciate the immense amount of work it goes into finding this content, watching this content, breaking the content down, writing it up, editing it, sharing the videos, all this stuff? Do you guys appreciate it? Well, the only way I have to tell that is if you step up and financially support it. And I'm a little bit behind right now. I'm not going to lie. And I don't like that. So I would like to get back to a place where I'm on track to hit the goals that I need to hit in order to keep doing this on a full time basis. And I can only do that with your help. So again, please head over to Carlyn, KARLYN.substack.com/subscribe. Sign up for $5 a month, sign up for $50 a year. You can sign up for more if you want to. Of course, I always appreciate that. And when you sign up and support my work, I will be inviting you to members only perks to include 2 Zoom calls every single week that are private, that are unrecorded. We have our next one at 7 o'clock tonight. So if you sign up on this stream, what you're going to be able to do is to go into this Unwoke Roundup email. And what you need to do is go all the way down to the bottom of the email. And under this red box, under supporter perks, you're going to find Zoom links to our supporter calls that are happening tonight at 7 p.m., that are happening on Wednesday at noon. We also have Bitchcraft coming up this weekend, which is an open Zoom call to be able to just connect and craft and what have you. That's going to be on Saturday at 3 p.m. We also have movie night weekly on Sundays. We're doing a poll this week to find out which movie we're watching. I think some Irish movies are in the poll. I don't remember exactly what movies they're putting up, but we do movie night every single Sunday. Now, if you cannot financially support me right now, because I do see a few people in the chat going, I really wish I could financially support you, but I just can't right now. Well, then what I need you guys to do is to share my content. I need you to share my videos. I need you to share my articles. I need you to post them on your Twitters, on your Facebooks, on your Instagrams, on your TikToks, whatever. It doesn't really matter to me what platform you're posting them on. And I don't want to hear any excuses. I don't want to hear, I don't have a platform, Carlyn. Well, I don't believe that. You have some people in your platform, even if you've only got a couple. Sharing still helps. Sharing is the number one thing that people can do if they can't financially support my work. And I really appreciate the help, guys. But again, I can't continue to do this if people aren't going to step up. I don't know how else I can emphasize this. This takes a lot of my time, and I want to be able to spend the time doing this. But if the support isn't there, then the support isn't there. And it would make me really, really sad to have to give this up. It would make me really, really sad to go, you know what? It just seems as though people don't value the work I'm doing, and that's just going to be the way it is. And I got to go do consulting or other things. It would make me really sad to come to that conclusion. This is what I want to be doing, but I can't do it without your help. And so you guys got to step up, and that's just the way it's going to be. Connie says, tip jar, I'm new here. Bot told me to do this. Oh, great. One of Bot's friends. All right. Well, welcome, Connie. We're really glad you're here. All right, guys, let's dig in and let's look at this article from the Colorado. This is from the Daily Mail, covering Colorado Elementary School is exposed for secretly transitioning students as damning leaked internal emails reveal administrators telling assistant principal to lie to parents. Guys, mount that like button for me if you are, well, a little bit horrified by this here headline, and we're going to find out what's going on. All right, let's take a look. Let me make this bigger for everyone. There we go. That's pretty big, isn't it? Oh, yeah. Leaked emails from a Colorado elementary school revealed administrators going behind parents' backs to secretly transition a student. Laurel Elementary School assistant principal Amanda of the Padre School District, the Padre School District Chief Equity Officer Marlena were caught in leaked emails discussing going behind a parent's back to instruct an elementary school by their preferred pronouns. On March 31st, 2022, Amanda reached out to Marlena. Again, Amanda is our assistant principal. We can remember that because she has A for assistant. Marlena is the chief equity officer. On March 31st, 2022, Amanda reached out to Marlena, who was only a few months into her new position, about an unidentified student who has expressed their pronouns and chosen name, but their parents told school staff not to call the student by pronouns. So this is actually even more egregious than what we saw in New York. Because in New York, the school just started calling the student by the name and pronouns and they just didn't tell the parents, which is egregious enough, quite frankly. But in the case of Colorado, the parents explicitly told the school, do not call our student by this name and by these pronouns. And the school elected to just ignore and dismiss what the parents wanted. I feel very strongly about supporting the student, but have heard that we legally have to follow the parent's decision due to the age of the child, which is elementary school. She wrote in an email to Marlena. This is coming from Amanda. In the same email, she revealed she learned during ABC's training, and I wonder what ABC's training is. Actually, let me just pop that up into our school search. I wonder if that's here. ABC's training. Nope, no search results on their website. We'll have to come back to we'll have to FOIA that. Anyway, in the same email, she revealed that she learned during ABC's training that we should follow the student, not the parents, and asked Marlena to provide a more definitive answer. We want to support the student. We also want to be legally covered, and that is Marlena, and this is Amanda, our assistant principal, who wants to ignore parents' wishes. 6 days later, Marlena responded confirming the school should use the student's affirming name and pronouns and use their legal name and corresponding pronouns when talking with the family until they are supportive of the student's new name and pronouns. So, quite literally, this school district was doing a switcheroo. The parents had already told them, do not use these names and pronouns with my kid. The school said, nope, we're going to ignore that. They used the names and pronouns with the kid. And then when they were talking with the parents, they used the legal name and pronouns that the parents wanted them to use to cover up what they were doing. Marlena also referred Amanda to the district's new LGBTQIA plus coordinator, Shayna, who also reiterated to Marlena that her and Darcy, the director of student services for the district, agreed with using the students' chosen pronouns and name while the parents were not present. Despite the consensus, Amanda seemed worried that the parents' definitive disapproval of using the chosen names and pronouns with the elementary school might prove to be an issue. These people should be getting their asses sued. The only way that school districts like this are going to change their policy is if they get their asses sued. Lawfare is a real thing. Lawfare is the very best recourse that most parents have. The problem is that most parents are not willing to do what is required. They are not willing to file the lawsuit. And because most parents are cowards, even when the school district is openly ignoring their wishes, and Gabrielle Clark will back me up here. Gabrielle Clark works tirelessly to try to match parents with lawyers so they can file lawsuits on things like this. And she tells us all the time, she will match parents with lawyers. Everything will be fine. And then the parents refuse to go through and file the damn lawsuit. So this is a message for everyone with school-age kids. If you are going up against this stuff and you refuse to go to court, it is your fault that this is continuing. It's not your fault it happened. It is the school's fault it happened. But if you are unwilling to file a lawsuit, not only to protect your child, but to protect all future children, don't come complaining to me, because lawsuits are the very best way we have to beat this back. They are the very best way to prevent this from happening. And if parents are unwilling to file the lawsuit that is required, then they don't have any cause to complain. Don't be surprised when your kids are socially transitioned in school if you knew it was happening and you refused to do anything about it. Grow a set. If you are unwilling to do what's required, then you get what you get and don't whine and complain about it later. Well, then parents can sue the school, but they may very well retaliate by harassing the student. Yeah, guess what? You know what the alternative is? They're going to socially transition your child. So pick your poison, parents. Are you going to make excuses and have your child socially transitioned? Or are you actually going to fight back in a meaningful way and get your child's college education paid for? Or the new down payment on your house? Choose. Are you going to be a coward, or are you going to step up and actually do something? I have no patience for parents who him and haw about this anymore. I really don't. I have been in this game for 3 years. I have seen so many parents have undeniable lawsuits against the schools, and then they complain about the state of the schools. They complain about the woke ideology. They complain, and then they're handed a lawsuit on a silver platter where they can actually make a real difference. And lawsuits are one of the only things that make a real difference. And they're like, well, it's too much work. I'm going to make excuses. I don't want to bother. I'm afraid my kid's going to get harassed. They're going to get socially transitioned if you don't do it. You could pull them out of the school. You can move. Guess what a lawsuit's going to give you? It's going to give you a nice down payment on a house, because the school district is probably going to settle with you, and you're going to end up with a nice down payment on a house. Move to a different effing school district. If you don't care enough about your kids to file a lawsuit when schools are quite literally trying to transition your children in elementary school, you don't get any sympathy anymore, so far as I'm concerned. Until people find their balls, this is going to continue. Anyway, let's read the emails from the school district. This is from Amanda, and this is to Marlena, and the subject is legal equity question. And Amanda says, "Welcome to the school district. I'm so glad we have this new leadership position and you in it. I understand we either have or will be welcoming another position, someone specifically to support our LGBTQIA plus community, but I don't know when that has happened. I think this question is likely, I hope, to be addressed by them district wide, but until then, I'm asking you, and I hope that's okay. I'm wondering about what to do when an elementary school student has expressed their pronouns and chosen name, but their parents directly tell school staff not to call the student by those pronouns. I feel very strongly about supporting the student, but I have heard that we legally have to follow the parent's direction due to the age of the child, which is elementary school. I've also heard that this is different in secondary schools due to legal determination ages. Then tonight, I was asked about this in ABC's training, and I was told it makes no difference if elementary or secondary, and that the law doesn't make the distinction, and that we should follow the students, not the parents. Really look at that. The email says that this person was trained. The law doesn't make the distinction, that we should follow the student, not the parents. I'd like to be able to have a more definitive answer than I've experienced and want to know how to direct my teachers as well. I want to support the student. We also want to be covered legally. Thank you for any guidance. Amanda. She, her, hers. This is from Darcy, who's the director of student services. Oh, excuse me. No, this is from Shayna to Darcy and Marlena. Shayna is the new LGBTQIA plus coordinator. Hi, Marlena. Just to keep you in the loop, Darcy and I met to discuss this and both agree that the school should use the student's affirming name and pronouns at the school and use their legal name and corresponding pronouns when talking with the family until they are supportive of the student's new name and pronouns. Darcy let me know that in the past, she connected with the previous legal team for this guidance and they were in support of this. And I will meet with Autumn this Friday to ensure we have clear communication about the topic. The resources I've looked at so far are below, but I will follow up and meet with Autumn to create more formal guidance here. And then this email is from Marlena, and this is to Amanda again, CCing Shayna. Hi, Amanda. Thank you for presenting this question. Schools should use the student's affirming name and pronouns at school and use their legal name and corresponding pronouns when talking with their family until they are supportive of the student's new names and pronouns. Can you just like can everyone just process how screwed up this is? The legal team for the school has advised them that, we need to affirm the student's new gender identity until the parents feel comfortable with it. Even though the parents have explicitly told the school that they don't want this being reinforced to the student by the school. And look at what they have here. This is the what is being linked here is this, the guidance for educators working with transgender and gender nonconforming students. This is from I believe, the Colorado Department of Education. It's either the school district, it might be the school district. So this is either the school district or the Department of Education. Hang on. But I want to read to you what it says. Privacy at school. Let me read you a few components of this. Privacy at school. All students have a right to privacy, including the right to maintain privacy about one's transgender status or gender nonconforming presentation at school. Under the Family Education Rights Privacy Act, FERPA, this is about to get real messed up. Let me make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see it. Under the Family Education Rights Privacy Act, only those school employees with a legitimate educational need should have access to student records or the information contained in those records. Disclosing confidential student information to other employees, students, or parents. So apparently the Family Education Rights Privacy Act doesn't apply to families because they're actually saying that disclosing this gender information to parents is a violation of FERPA, which is the Family Education Rights Privacy Act. They're saying that the Family Education Rights Privacy Act only applies to the students and that parents are not in the group of people who need access to this information. I had to deal with FERPA stuff when I was working in higher education. And let me tell you what, that is not how FERPA is interpreted, or it wasn't at the time, like 10, 15 years ago. Like parents used to call asking about financial aid all the time, and you have to talk to the parents, and that's well included under FERPA. Now, if someone else, if like, a health person, like a guidance counselor or something calls and asks about the health records of a student, you can't give them that information because that person doesn't need that information. But parents are absolutely included in FERPA. And the school district is not interpreting that well. Let's also look working with families. When contacting parents or guardians of a transgender or gender nonconforming child, school personnel should use the student's legal name and the pronouns corresponding to the student's gender assigned at birth unless the student, parents, and or guardian has indicated otherwise. The and or is important. What they're saying is that if the student asks to be called a different name, that's all that's required. When working with the family, it's important to use the following age-appropriate guidance to maintain confidentiality and privacy. In elementary school, Generally, the parents or guardians will inform the school of their transgender or gender nonconforming child. If the school staff believes that a gender identity or expression issue is presenting itself and creating difficulty for the child at school, it is appropriate to approach the parents regarding this issue. Together, the family and the school can identify appropriate steps for the student. Well, it kind of seems like the school is just doing what it wants to do, not actually working with the families at all. Names and pronouns. Schools should not assume a student's preferred name or pronouns. Rather, schools should seek out guidance from the student. The school should seek out guidance from the student, not from the families, from the student, and use the requested names and pronouns consistently. A court-ordered name and gender change is not required, and the students need not change his or her official records. The Colorado Civil Rights Commission specifically identifies prohibited conduct as deliberately misusing an individual's preferred name, form of address, or gender-related pronouns, such as intentionally referring to the student by a name or pronoun that does not correspond with the student's gender identity. So what this guidance is actually saying is that not only is it school district policy to lie to the parents about what name and pronouns they're using at the school, but the school is actually telling people that they are going to be committing a civil rights violation based on the Colorado Civil Rights Commission if they follow the guidance that the parents are giving them, which is don't call my kid this. So if the parents go to the school and they say, "You will use my kid's legal name and the pronouns associated with that name, you are not going to call them this new name and you're not going to use these new pronouns," the school is saying that it would be a civil rights violation for the school to listen to the parents. Can we all just take a moment and realize how messed up that is? Let's return to the article. We've got one more email to read here. This is from Amanda to Shayna. Yay! Welcome, Shayna. I do have one clarification about our scenario, if I may share more detail. Does this also apply to cases of using a student's chosen name when the parent has deliberately said not to do that? The parent's statement was in response to learning that classmates and staff had all been using their chosen name. The student had, check this out. So the student was going to the school and using the new name and pronouns at school, but they hadn't told their parents yet. All right. And so then the school brought the parents in. This is an elementary school. They brought the parents in to support the student coming out to their parents. Let's listen to what happened. The parent's statement, the parents have explicitly told the school district not to use the name and pronouns. The parent's statement was in response to learning that classmates and staff had all been using their chosen name, and the student had asked a few of us to be present when they came out to their mom. In the moment, mom seemed okay and asked how long this had been happening and that we were using their chosen name. Follow-up communication from the parents was pretty direct that we were not to continue doing so. I was wondering about the direct do not nature of what they said, and in light of them being in elementary school, I want to make sure we're still covered if we use the student's chosen name in school, even in this case. So the assistant principal is looking for legal backup to ignore the wishes of the parents and to continue transing the kid while lying to the parents about what they're doing. This is real life. And this is almost a year ago. Almost a year ago. And guys, this is why everyone needs to know how to FOIA emails. Now, if you have never done a FOIA or a public records request, hang on, I'm loading up a website here where I can show you how to do this. On my website, which is activelyunwoke.com/on-demand. Let me put the link in the chat. Well, it's actively unwoke.com, and then you get to it by going to the training section up here. You go to on demand trainings. I have a webinar that was hosted by Nicole Solis called FOIA Everything. Find out what the schools are teaching your kids with public records requests. And this Nicole will teach you for this is a free webinar. Anyone can sign up for it. You can access it on demand. And Nicole will teach you how to FOIA emails from the school and other stuff too. And FOIAing emails, getting access to the emails, which is exactly what was done here, is one of the number one ways that we can figure out what's actually going on. If these emails had not been FOIA'd or hadn't been public records requested, then this family might not know that the school was lying to them. So it's really important to know how to do this. You have a legal right to do these public record requests and to get access to this information. And if you've never done it before, Nicole will teach you how to do it. There's all sorts of other webinars you can access on there as well, on demand, to get you the information you need to know to fight back. So please make sure you watch it if you've never done it before. It's really important. Let's see, that's just more quoting the emails. Daily Mail reached out to the school district and Marlena for comment. When Amanda was reached for comment, she referred to the communications department for comment. Oh, so Amanda is not so quick to comment now that the media has come knocking, is she? That's just some bio information about Marlena. I don't really care about that. Now check this out. Amanda, the woman who wanted to lie to the parents, won the Colorado Assistant Elementary School Principal of the Year in 2023. It is the second year that a assistant teacher from this school district has won the award. Amanda has served as assistant principal in the district since 2019 and has been with the district since 2013. The situation at Laurel is nothing new, as plenty of parents across the country have been fighting to control their child's pronouns at school. Last month, and this is this article right here, last month, the parents of a 14-year-old girl who was allowed to secretly change gender at school have accused teachers of making a huge mistake by keeping them in the dark after she was bullied, assaulted in the boys' restroom, and ultimately ran away and into the hands of an abusive online groomer. Let's check out that story. Parents slammed teachers who secretly allowed their daughter to transition and use boys' restroom before she ran away into the arms of an online groomer. This was also in the Daily Mail about a month ago. Let's see, we just read that opening paragraph. Well, let's read it again. The parents of a 14-year-old girl who was allowed to secretly change gender at school have accused teachers of making a huge mistake by keeping them in the dark after she was bullied, assaulted in the boys' restroom, and ultimately ran away into the hands of an abusive online groomer. Michelle and Roger Blair told the Daily Mail that their daughter, Sage, was allowed to change her name to Draco, and use the boys' restroom at approximate county high school in central Virginia. Of course, it's in Virginia, without their permission. The couple said teachers effectively sidelined them from supporting their daughter, who suffered from depression during her in school transition. Ultimately, they only discovered she was trans after finding a hall pass. So the school was hiding from these parents that their 14-year-old was going by different name and pronouns in school, and the parents only found out after finding a hall pass with a different name on it. Why they didn't tell me, or at least request a parents' meeting to this day, is just way beyond my understanding, said Michelle. Yeah, that looks about right. The school made a very poor decision that was not in my child's best interest, and it was at the cost of my daughter's mental health. Such cases are becoming more common as teachers grapple with the small but growing number of children wanting to change gender at school, and the especially tricky ones who don't want their parents to know about it. Michelle and Roger are Sage's biological grandparents. They adopted her when she was a toddler. At age 14, Sage was being treated for depression as she started out at a new high school in Central Virginia. There, she was exposed to emos, goths, and panoply of sexuality and gender options. Teachers followed the state's then guidelines and accommodated her wish to be called Draco, use the male restrooms, and keep her parents in the dark. The Blairs are traditionalists and skeptical about newfangled trans ideas. The school did not inform them about Draco, even when she got bullied over her new identity and was assaulted in the boys' bathroom. As tensions mounted at school, the parents discovered a hall pass bearing Draco's name at home. The secret was out. That night, Sage left a goodbye note and ran away from home, unwittingly to meet up with a sex abuser who had been grooming her online. Sage, an avid 5'4" skateboarder, was not available for the interview. Her parents said the time she ran away, she was abducted and abused by numerous men in several locations before she was tracked down and rescued by law enforcement. She was then placed under court protection and spent nearly a year away from her family. Sage is now back home, age 16, and presenting as female and battling her inner turmoil without Draco's trademark streak of blue hair. So these things are not, this is not like a hypothetical. When schools are not keeping parents informed about what is going on, there is a very real danger that there are going to be unintended consequences of this whole thing. And again, this is not just a one off. We're seeing this in schools all over the country. It's not okay. It's terrifying. So what I want to do is I want to look at some of these other things that the school district in Colorado is putting out, and I want to do a little bit of a schools exposed investigation stream on this specific school district. Now, again, I do want to do a shout out to Erin for Parental Rights. She's Erin, the number 4 parents on Twitter, and she was the one that posted this. And this was actually 9 hours ago. She said, "Hang on." Can anyone explain why my K through 12 district put out official transgender guidelines that include definitions like top surgery, chest binder, polyamory, misgendering, cisnormative, and sexual preference? Link to the doc in my comments, and I have the doc right here. Let's take a look at what this says. Guys, please mount that like button for me if you have not already. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Make sure everyone can see it. Let's see. Now, can I read it at that level? Okay, I think I can. The LGBTQIA plus community includes individuals who hold a spectrum of identities and orientations related to individuals' gender and sexuality or attraction to others. While not exhaustive, this list defines identities and terms in order to support individuals seeking to learn about LGBTQIA plus community and affirming language. Again, this is a document that was put out by this, not that, hang on, this specific school district that we just looked at. Nope, this is not in Michigan. This is in Colorado. So, umbrella identities, queer, a term people use to express a spectrum of identities and orientations that are counter to the mainstream. Queer is often used as a catch-all to include many people, including those who do not identify as exclusively straight and or folks who have non-binary or gender expansive identities. Questioning, a term used to describe people who are in the process of exploring their sexual orientation and gender. Closeted, coming out, outing, sex versus gender identity. We've got sex assigned at birth, intersex, gender identity. Cisgender, a term used to describe a person whose gender identity aligns with those typically associated with the sex assigned at birth. Transgender, an umbrella term for people whose gender identity or expression is different from the cultural expectations based on the sex they were assigned at birth. Gender binary, a system in which gender is constructed. Oh, check out this definition. A system in which gender is constructed into 2 strict categories of male or female. Gender identity is expected to line with the sex assigned at birth, and gender expression and roles fit traditional expectations. Non binary, An adjective describing a person who does not identify exclusively as man or woman. Non binary people may identify as being both a man and a woman. They can identify as man and woman at the same time. All right. Somewhere in between, or as falling completely outside of those categories. While many also identify as transgender, not all non binary people do. Non binary can be used as an umbrella term encompassing identities such as agender, bigender, genderqueer, or gender fluid. Oh, look, we've got all those definitions too. Yay. Agender, a person with no or very little connection to the traditional system of gender, no personal alignment with the concepts of male or female, or someone who sees themselves as existing without gender. Bigender, a person who fluctuates between traditionally male and female, gender based behavior and identities, identifying with both male and female genders, or identifying with either a male or female gender, or as well as a third different gender. I wonder how many genders you can actually identify with at one time. Gender fluid, a person who does not identify with a single fixed gender or who has a fluid or unfixed gender identity. Gender queer. Gender queer people typically reject notions of static categories of gender and embrace a fluidity or gender identity, and often, though not always, sexual orientation. People who identify as gender queer may see themselves as being both male and female, neither male or female, or falling completely outside of those categories. Two Spirit, an umbrella term traditionally used within Native American communities to recognize individuals who possess qualities to fulfill roles of both male and female genders. Gender expression, gender normative, gender variant, gender nonconforming, gender expansive, androgyny. Well, I actually kind of appreciate that they have androgyny on the definition list. I thought that we had just let go of androgyny. I thought that androgyny wasn't a thing anymore. Dead naming, personal pronouns. Oh gosh, they define neo pronouns. Pronouns besides the most commonly used in any particular language. Examples include z, zer, zers, or z, zer, zers, or fey, fair. They actually, holy shit, they put fey gender. That's fairy. They want kids to identify as fairies. Who do we have any fey gender in the chat today? Anyone feeling particularly fey? What is wrong with these people? Transitioning. Binder. They define binder, an undergarment used to alter or reduce the appearance of one's breasts, similarly worn similarly to how one wears a sports bra. Passing. Transgender people are accepted or able to pass for a member of their self-identified gender category without being identified as trans. Trendlin identifies as fey gender today. Well, they do explicitly say that it is for indigenous cultures, but it is a little bit of cultural appropriation. They've ruined both fairies and unicorns. It's true. They define top surgery, sexual attraction, sexual orientation, sexual preference, emotional attraction, a capacity that evokes the want to engage in emotionally intimate behavior. Romantic attraction, spiritual attraction. Holy hell. Common sexualities. Agender, or excuse me, asexual, experiencing little or no sexual attraction to others or a lack of interest in sexual relationships or behaviors. Bisexual, a person who experiences attraction to some men or women, a person who experiences attraction to some people of their gender and of another gender, okay? Demisexual. Oh, at least they don't have scoliosexual. We learned scoliosexual last week. Does anyone remember in the chat what scoliosexual means? This is a pop quiz. Demisexual, little or no capacity to experience sexual attraction until a strong romantic connection is formed with someone, often within a romantic relationship. Gay, I think we all understand that one. Heterosexual or straight, I think we all understand that one. Lesbian, I think we understand that one. Pansexual, I don't know why we're different, but why are we defining polyamorous? Why do they need to know polyamory in elementary school? Exactly. Reagan, ascoliosexual is when you are only attracted to trans people. That is a real thing. And I know it's a real thing because the Michigan Department of Education did a training that told me that was a real thing. Biphobia, a range of negative attitudes that one may have to express towards bisexual individuals. Okay. Homophobia, transphobia, sick sexism. We just learned about sick sexism last week through the Burlington schools. The Burlington schools as well are defining sick sexism. Behavior that grants preferential treatment to cisgender people and reinforces the idea that being cisgender is somehow better or more right than being transgender or makes other genders invisible. Heterosexism. Behavior that grants preferential treatment to heterosexual people reinforces the idea that heterosexuality is somehow better or more right than queerness, or it makes other sexualities invisible. Yes, Krissa, exactly. Scoliosexual is basically like tranny chasers. Precisely. Normativity, cisnormative. The assumption in individuals and or institutions that everyone is cisgender and that cisgender individuals are superior to trans identities leads to invisibility of non-cisgender identities, and heteronormativity is the same thing but with heterosexual identities. The above definitions were compiled from Merriam-Webster Dictionary. You know, I had a woman on Twitter who, like maybe a week or two ago, was trying to use definitions out of Merriam-Webster Dictionary to try to convince me of something. And I was like, honey, you guys change definitions in that dictionary all the time. The only dictionary I trust is the giant effing dictionary that's like this thick that I have from the 1940s that is sitting on the floor underneath my desk. And I would strongly recommend every single person go buy a really old print dictionary. I have a dictionary from the 40s that I bought on eBay. All right. It's yay thick. It's really big, but I know that dictionary is never going to change. So go get yourself a dictionary, man. Not one from the 90s. Although I have one too. A supporter sent me a dictionary from the 90s, which I do greatly appreciate. But you need to go pre-civil rights movement. Like, we're talking like an old effing dictionary. All right. If you have one from the 90s, cool. Don't throw it out or anything. But just know that they started this shit a long, long time ago. And you want to make sure you have some consistency in your definitions. This is also from the Safe Zone Project, Human Rights Campaign, PFLAG, and GLAD glossaries. Oh, isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? Well, what I want to do now is I want to just take a look around their diversity, equity, and inclusion website. And this is going to be a little bit of an abbreviated Schools Exposed investigation. Now, those who don't know, I launched my Schools Exposed program last week. Yay! I want to thank everyone who crowdfunded the program. This is something that I crowdfunded for last year, and I'm in the process of now launching it. And so basically, last year, I made the declaration and said, I want to train 10,000 parents how to go onto public school websites and to find documents to show what the public schools are teaching your kids with publicly available information. This is the basis of the Schools Exposed program. What I wanted to do was essentially take my online training background because I'm an organizational psychologist in real life. I've done countless trainings and facilitations for adults in the business world all over the country. I've done them in person, I've done them online. I have a lot of experience building training programs. And basically, what I'm doing is I'm taking all of my corporate training background and I'm applying it to helping parents find this information in their school districts. Because the reality is this information is all publicly available. However, schools try to hide it. And a lot of parents don't understand the language. They don't understand where to look for the information. They don't understand what it means when they find it. And so, this is a way that I'm trying to bring as many people up to speed as possible. Reagan is in the program and she says the Schools Exposed program is really good so far. The lessons are very straightforward and easy to follow. That's my goal. So I've released 3 lessons, an introduction and 3 lessons so far. I have more lessons built, but I'm trying to see what pacing people get through the program under. I just opened it last week to people who crowdfunded the program, but if you weren't lucky enough to get in on the crowdfunding campaign, you can join right now by going over to schoolsexposed.com. You can get access to the classroom. It is a $99 one-time fee, and that covers the cost of me having to spend time on this, the technology required, all that good stuff. I'm in the course room every day. I'm helping people walk through it every single day. And so that's what it covers. If you need financial assistance, there are scholarships available, but I really want to make sure those are only going to people who actually need them. So there's information on how to get in touch with me about those scholarships on the website. So what I want to do is I want to go onto this school district's website. Again, this is the same school district that did this stuff in Colorado, and we want to go on and just do a quick look around. And what I've already done is I have found one of the challenges that you have in investigating what the schools are doing is the first thing you need to do is find out what is the name of their equity office. Now I know this seems like it's an easy thing, and in some school districts it is an easy thing, but it's not named the same thing everywhere. So luckily, this school district, it actually happened to be a pretty easy thing to find because their office is named Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And so I've already found it here. And let's just look at some of the stuff that they're doing. Let's see. We promise to create and uphold equitable, inclusive, and rigorous educational opportunities and outcomes for all. Will create policies and enact practices that ensure outcomes are not predicted by identity or demography. We will confront and eliminate disparities and inequities through inclusive leadership, developing and expecting an inclusive climate and culture based on trusting relationships between schools, families, and the community. Oh yeah, lying to parents about a student's gender identity really is going to help build that trusting relationship. They're going to develop and expecting culturally responsive pedagogy, curriculum, and assessment. Culturally responsive pedagogy. What's another name for culturally responsive pedagogy? Functionally and practically. Does anyone know? Pop quiz for the chat. And while you guys are answering that question, I just want to say hi to everyone watching over on Rockfin and on Rumble and on Odyssey. I appreciate you guys, even if I'm not always interacting with the chat. Thank you for joining me on my alternative platforms as well. What is another name for culturally responsive pedagogy? CRT. Yes. Now, it's not exactly the same thing. There are differences, but for our intents and purposes, anytime you see culturally responsive teaching, culturally responsive pedagogy, you need to think in your head critical race theory because there's so much overlap between the two that for our purposes, from a practical perspective, they're usually basically the same thing, even though the definitions of them are just slightly different. But I focus on things from a highly practical perspective. And so that's what we care about. Let's see. Ensuring ongoing quality professional learnings with implementation strategies for all staff. This is one of the most often overlooked components, okay? What does professional learning opportunities for staff mean? When you see professional learning, what does that mean to you? Pop quiz in the chat. Yep, Brooklyn, culturally relevant teaching is another way of saying CRT. That's right. Thank you for pointing that out. Teacher training. Exactly. So one of the things that parents don't think to look for, and I think of this because I'm a trainer. I've trained in organizations all over the world, right? And so for professional learning, professional development, these are trainings that the school has organized that usually is for teachers and for administrators. And a lot of this woke shit is happening in those trainings. Anything that happens in professional development trainings in your community is going to make its way into the classroom. All right. So if you know what the teachers are being trained on, you know what's going to make its way into the classroom. So we need to look for their professional learning, and usually they actually have that on their website. Let me look here. So they have affinity groups. Oh, there we go. Found it. They have affinity groups. Where are their affinity groups? Okay, so they have segregated affinity groups for their teachers, Black, Indigenous, people of color, LGBTQIA+. All right. Can we see what's in those? Nope, nothing there yet. Standards-based teaching and learning framework. Oh, holy shit. This has been going on in this school district since 2010. This is a giant framework document. Okay, so when you find documents like this, we're not going to review the whole document because that would be crazy. But whenever you find documents that are like frameworks for your school district, you need to read through them. They will tell you their strategic plan, all right? Let's go back here. Inclusive leadership, we already know that. Climate and culture, the principles of community. So this page is a couple years old. Implement, okay, here we go. Implement No Place for Hate with the Anti-Defamation League. So this school district, No Place for Hate, the only other place I've seen this campaign is in the Portland, Oregon school district, and the Portland, Oregon school district is crazy. Excuse me. The Portland, Oregon school district basically put up a whole bunch of videos on their website where their students look like little social justice warriors. They're totally denouncing Trump and all this stuff, and that was part of the No Place for Hate campaign. I think this just goes to their website. 1,800 schools. 1,800 schools in the No Place for Hate campaign. This is all in partnership with the Anti-Defamation League. If you see the No Place for Hate campaign, that is uber woke. Make sure that's not in your school district. Let's see. Ensure school-wide positive behavior models and non-discriminatory behavior. Fine. Establish affinity group. Okay, so here's one of the things I want to look for. Anytime you're researching a school, one of the questions that you want to answer is how deeply ingrained is the ideology in the curriculum? Because it's one thing to have a diversity, equity, and inclusion office where they're doing teacher training or things like that. That's a problem. But that is a much different problem than we are infusing diversity, equity, inclusion, culturally relevant pedagogy, social emotional learning, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We're infusing that into the curriculum. What that means is that your school is going to be teaching anti-racist math or anti-racist English or anti-racist drama or anti-racist art or anti-racist science, etc., etc., etc. When they're infusing it into the curriculum, that means that their goal is that they want to make sure that every single class that your child takes has diversity, equity, and inclusion elements as a part of it. So they're not taking the same classes that you were taking when you were in school. So let's see. Develop and expect culturally responsive pedagogy, curriculum, and assessment. Focus professional learning and collaboration on culturally responsive pedagogy. Engage with staff to identify specific components of the framework that rely on culturally responsive practices. Through targeted professional learning opportunities, engage teams in designing and observing instructional practices that are culturally responsive. Ensure culturally responsive content. Here's we've got our professional learning. Ensuring ongoing quality professional learning with implementation of strategies for all staff. Deploy targeted professional learning opportunities for all. Design and implement required training modules for all staff. All staff should be all staff are going to be required to take this training in the school district. Noah said, your stuff must be seriously shadow banned. This stuff is important shit. I appreciate that, Noah. Guys, the way you can help me get out from under the YouTube shadow ban is to, quite frankly, make sure you're watching my content. Make sure you're clicking on things. Even if you don't watch the whole thing, even if you only watch for like 10, 20 seconds of it, if you see my stuff being recommended, click on it, and that's going to make sure my stuff gets recommended more. If you give it a thumbs up, if you share it out, if you do all these things, that's going to help my content get out from under the epic shadow ban that I've been under for 2 years on YouTube. I know exactly the day it started. It was August 26th of 2020 is when they started shadow banning my content. I know the exact date because I can see it in the numbers. So if you guys want to help, every time you see my content pop up in your recommendations, just click on it, watch it for a few seconds, even if you don't watch the whole thing. It really does help, all right? Share it, thumbs up, all that good stuff. Okay, so they're giving us an important piece of information here. In partnership with the Staff Equity Coalition. What is the Staff Equity Coalition? What is that? We need to make sure we search that. Design and offer opportunities for self-growth in the areas of equity, diversity, and inclusion. In progress book studies starting in January of 2021. Oh, good. Then we've got our contact information. Let's look up this Staff Equity Coalition. So, guys, when you're researching your school, the search bar is going to be like your best friend. Staff Equity Coalition. We've got this update here. Let's see what this update says. February 10th. Oh, this is in 2021. The purpose of this message is to update you. So, a lot of school districts, they do newsletters like this. So always make sure to these newsletters come up in your searches, always make sure to read them because oftentimes they will tell you exactly what they're doing and you just need to read it and find it. But this is a newsletter from February 10th, 2021. Uh PSD is a learning organization that stands for human dignity, and we, the collective leadership, promise to honor students and staff we serve for who they are. We also promise to create and uphold equitable and inclusive educational opportunities for all students. Our work needs to ensure the safety and well-being of all students and staff who identify as Black, Indigenous, and people of color, LGBTQIA+, those with differing abilities, those who experience religious persecution, women, and anyone else who experiences discrimination. So they basically just listed everyone except straight white men. How inclusive. Hate and intolerance are not acceptable. It is incumbent upon staff in our district to respond and improve systems, policies, and practices to help our students and staff navigate what they're seeing and hearing among their peers, in their communities, and on social media. We are responsible for creating safe places where each student is included, blah, 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 blah. Inclusive leadership. Our system is restructuring the way we work so that we are actively recruiting families, staff, students, and community members whose voices should inform their experiences with the school district. There are several groups designed to engage stakeholders and foster critical conversations. Anytime you hear the term critical conversations, that is code for woke bullshit training. Well, listen, I don't want to hear any complaints about being a straight white man. You are not the oppressed victim of the world. And quite frankly, every time the message that men get from these things is, "Oh, I'm poor and abused because I'm a straight white man." I'm sorry. That's pathetic, radical moderate. And I like you. I really do. I appreciate you very much. But if your response to this is, the world is really tough on straight white men, and we're all so poor and abused and oppressed. Come on, stop being a fucking victim. If you see yourself as poor and abused and oppressed and a victim of the world, you are no different than the woke left. Get it together, bro. Come on. Okay, so critical conversations, including the Student Equity Coalition. Holy shit. What's that about? Let's see. It's not a joke, though. It's not a joke because you've made this joke over and over and over again. I hear this quote unquote joke every single day from men who are feeling sorry for themselves. You're not a victim of the world. Let's see. Nothing on that. And by the way, guys, the fact that I'm not getting any search results on these things, that is sending a warning signal to me that they've hidden pages out of the index from their search. Okay? Everyone is attacked and ridiculed. Every I'm you know what? I am harassed and attacked by name every single day of my life for doing this. I don't want to hear any fucking complaining. Rules of the chat are being enforced. No insults and no whining. I don't want to hear any complaining about people saying things about straight white men. I am literally attacked and harassed by name every single day of my life. My God. Every single time I go into one of these things, this happens. This is why I'm upset. It's like, can we please focus on things that matter, not victim and grievances in the chat? I mean, I probably should just ignore the chat when this is happening, but it drives me crazy. It's like, can we focus on things that matter, please? Not you having feelings. PSD's curriculum materials. Oh shit. The curriculum materials should affirm many identities and represent multiple complex human experiences and perspectives. PSD's curriculum and instruction and assessment and language, cultural and equity departments. Culture and equity department. What is that? Among others, will review PSD's curriculum materials to determine where bias exists in our materials. Oh, they're whitewashing. They're updating all their materials. So they're basically, this is telling us that they're going through all of their curriculum and they are basically reviewing their curriculum to make sure it won't offend anyone. It's never going to pass. I strongly doubt any parental rights amendment is going to pass anywhere. I really, really doubt it. Professional development, training in the training centers upon knowledge, self-awareness, skills, and action. At the start of the 2020-2021 school year, all staff learned about equity, diversity, and inclusion efforts, which provided the context of our work. Okay, so I want to know what their professional development was. Professional learning. How it works. Professional development. Professional development. Outside offerings. Professional learning. Oh, login required. All right. The vast majority of states that are saying that they banned critical race theory did not actually ban critical race theory. The state of New Hampshire alleges that they banned critical race theory. There is a school district in New Hampshire that quite literally has on their homepage that they're teaching critical race theory to all students in the school district, and the state does nothing about it. So if you think those laws are going to protect you, they probably aren't. Betsy, in all actuality, the law in Georgia probably doesn't do what you think it does. And don't listen to your Republicans who are going to lie to you, because the Republicans in New Hampshire did that. Republicans in New Hampshire have been lying to their constituents that they're saying we banned critical race theory, we banned critical race theory. No, they didn't. It's taught in schools in New Hampshire right now. The schools are advertising it on their website, and the state's not doing shit about it, even though they know, and complaints have been filed. So I don't believe it's been banned anywhere. I don't believe these laws are effective. This is incorrect. A lot of states require ongoing professional development training for all teachers. A lot of boards of education require ongoing diversity, equity, and inclusion training. And if it's not required at the state level, it's required at the school or the school district level. So that's not correct. I mean, I hate to slap down people so much in the chat, but the reality is, Eve, I literally have the training decks. I quite literally have the training videos. See, the reason that I have to pay attention to the chat is because people will come in and lie and give incorrect information. I quite literally have the training slide decks and the training videos, and that would not be the case if no extra training was happening. You are wrong. And if you keep lying in my chat, I'm just going to ban you to prevent you from lying in the chat. If you want to see the evidence, you can go over to my Actively Unwoke Substack. These are literally training videos, Eve. These are training videos from Michigan. Oh, really? Oh, really, honey? These aren't videos. This is why conservatives fucking lose. We're about to have a case of me screaming at someone in the chat for being a bitch. Is that video real, Eve? Is that video that's on my screen right now, is that real? Is that fake? Should I play the video? Should we watch the video real quick to make sure it's a real video? Should we? I don't give a fuck if you've worked in schools for 45 years, honey. I don't give a fuck. Should we look at these slide decks? Are these slide decks real? Are these real? Because these came out of the Burlington School District in just the past couple of weeks. These you're a staff really? Are these slides real, Eve? Are these slides real? Are these real or are these fake? Did I Photoshop all of these? Let's go back. Let's go back. How about, wait, no, not that one. This one. How about all these videos? Are these real? Because these were put out by the Michigan Department of Education. Are these real? No, it doesn't matter if they're not, Eve. It's in the State Board of Education. This is why conservatives lose. Because they ignore evidence when it's right in front of them. Eve, are these emails real? Are these emails real? Are these real, or were those Photoshopped too? This is not true, Eve. Go look in the Illinois Department of Education. The Illinois Department of Education requires to maintain your teacher licensure. Why do I know more about this than people who allegedly have been working in the schools for 45 years? The Illinois Department of Education requires this training for teachers to maintain their licensure on an annual basis. You are wrong. You are lying to my chat. I don't know why you're here if you're just going to lie to people. Like, what purpose do you have? Oh, really? It's none of my business what trainings are offered. Eve, who pays for it? Who pays for those trainings? Who pays for those trainings? It's none of our business. It's now we see what's really going on. It's none of our business. What Eve doesn't want is for you to see these slide decks. What Eve doesn't want is for you to see these manuals. It's none of our business. Eve, do you think it's someone's business? Do you think it's the parents' business when their kids are being socially transitioned in schools and the schools are lying to them? Is this our business, Eve? I will make whatever fucking statements I want, you fucking cunt. You're going to come in and tell parents it's none of their business what's going on in schools? Who the fuck do you think you are? People like you who have worked in the schools for 45 years, the people like you that are lying to parents, the people like you who are getting paid by the taxpayer and then saying, it's none of your business what I do with your taxpayer funding, you are the problem. People like you should be ridiculed and shamed until you are afraid to show your face. It is your fault what is happening in the schools right now. It is your fault specifically because you are probably one of those bitches who has hid information from parents for decades. You are probably one of those evil fucking cunts who has lied to parents directly, looked them in the face, and lied. And this, folks, is why we have the policies in the chat that we do. And I'm sorry, if anyone is getting their feelings hurt about me dressing down this bitch who has probably groomed multiple children throughout the course of her career after she came in her chat and tried to lie to my chat to convince them that what they were seeing with their eyes wasn't real. This is why we give no leniency to teachers. No one working in schools should have any leniency at all. I don't care if you agree with them. I don't care if they claim to be conservatives, because you have people like this that are lying to parents all the time. And then conservative teachers come in and they go, no, it's not us. We're not all bad. We're not all bad. We're not all bad. And then conservative teachers, and I've had this happen to me, try to convince me, Carlin, you aren't really telling the truth. And I'm like, I've got the fucking slide decks. I've got the videos. I've got them right here. What isn't truthful about this? And they say, you're besmirching the profession of teaching. Teachers are liars. Teachers are liars. And if you have your feelings hurt about that, I want to remind you that on this show, for an hour and 20 minutes, we've been talking about multiple cases of elementary schools socially transitioning children. Well, cunts like Eve are trying to convince you that this isn't happening. I don't give a flying fuck if it's optional or not, Eve. I don't care. I wonder how many kids you've groomed throughout the course of your years in school. But don't bother answering, because you're blocked now, bitch. Go the fuck away. Why aren't parents as angry as I am? Because here's what's about to happen. I guarantee you, probably within the next hour or so, there are going to be clips of me yelling at that woman on Twitter. Or I'm going to have people come in and say, oh, Carlin's yelling at people. And they're going to clip that and put that on Twitter and say, isn't Carlin a mean, horrible person? Eve's probably working on that right now. Here's the question I have. Why aren't parents more angry? Why aren't people more angry at what's happening? Why doesn't this outrage more people? Why do I have to be the one yelling? Why isn't everyone yelling? And I saw people in the chat shouting down Eve. Don't think I didn't see it. Think about how fucked up this is. That woman saw the subject of the stream and she quite literally targeted this stream to come into the chat and to try to gaslight the people watching this stream that what we are looking at is not real. She tried to gaslight everyone here. No, this isn't real. Don't believe your lying eyes. People are cowards. And if they don't start stepping up and fighting this stuff and coming at people that are pushing this onto your kids with exactly the amount of righteous indignation that I just came at that bitch in the chat, who came here specifically to lie to people, who came here specifically to gaslight people, who came here specifically to try to trick you that what you see right in front of you isn't real. Until everyone starts doing this and starts treating people with the righteous indignation with which they deserve, then this problem will continue. It can't just be me yelling, guys. I don't have kids in school. Why am I more pissed off about this than people with kids in school? I don't understand it. But I'll be the one that gets flamed on the internet. Oh my word, she said mean words to that poor woman. Did you see the way that Carlin yelled at that poor woman and called her a cunt? That's what's in my future. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up for today, guys, because I'm losing my voice after yelling at that woman. I think it's all downhill from there. I will tell you that if you want to learn how to investigate your school district, this is a great time to join the Schools Exposed program. This is where I am teaching parents how to investigate the school districts, just like I was doing. I'll teach you how to go through their websites. I'll teach you how to interpret their information. I will teach you how to find the information, what keywords to search for. We will work through stuff. We will find stuff that's on the internet together. If we can't find it, we will do public records requests. In the case of the Colorado School District, I want to learn what their professional development plan is. I want to learn what these equity councils are. I would want any emails relating to the professional development, to more things going on with kids, things like that. We are going to do all of these things and more in the Schools Exposed program. It is a private community where you're going to get access to my online course. You're also going to get access to people just like you that are concerned about what is going on in the schools. The first 3 lessons and an introduction are up to the course right now. I'm waiting for people to kind of work through those 3 lessons before I launch the rest of it. It's ready to go whenever they are. But I want to encourage everyone, if you crowdfunded my program, you should have gotten an email with information to join the course. If you didn't, reach out to contact@schoolsexposed.com and I will get in touch with you, and we can work it out. But if you want to join the course, just head over here and click learn more about Schools Exposed or join Schools Exposed right up at the top. And that's going to take you to a website where you can log in with your email. You can select your plan, you can pay, and basically it's going to be $99, a one-time fee to join the course. Not once a year, it's just a one-time fee. That helps me cover the cost of upkeeping the course and the time I'm putting into it, stuff like that. So if you want to learn more, head over to schoolsexposed.com. And I do want to remind everyone that on my Actively Unwoke Substack, I am currently trying to get 75 new supporters this month. That's a big ask, guys. But I have certain goals that I need to meet in order to keep my content free and available for everyone and not behind a paywall. If you can help me reach that number with a subscription of $5 a month, $50 a year to my Substack, that would really be great. That helps me keep the information free and available for as many people as possible. If I do not hit that goal, I will be putting up a paywall. I don't want to do that. I don't want to. But I have certain objectives that I need to meet. And if you can't afford to financially support me right now, please share the content out on your Facebook, on your Twitter, on your Instagram, wherever you're sharing content with people following you. Even if it's just a couple people, I don't want to hear any excuses of I don't have a platform, Carlin. Everyone has a platform. You all have friends and family. You can all share the content. If it's helping you, if you're finding value in it, I would really appreciate the help trying to get the word out. All right, guys, I will be seeing my supporters for our Zoom in about half an hour. And if you sign up on my Substack as a paid supporter, just go to the Unwoke Roundup email. It's right up at the top. And what you want to do is scroll down to the bottom. And there is a section called Supporter Perks. And when you are a supporter on the Substack, what you're going to see is a Zoom link that will allow you to join the call at 7 p.m. I also posted in my locals. I also posted in my Patreon. So if you're a supporter on any of those platforms, you will be able to join us at 7 p.m. for a nice little chat. All right, guys, that's all I have for right now. I will see my supporter community in the Zoom soon, and I will be back here live tomorrow at 5 p.m. Take care, guys. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you soon.